Everybody, I am very excited because here in the Vinyl Pad, I have a very special guest, Grentperez, singer-songwriter extraordinaire. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk about all kinds of amazing things.
A little, yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for having me once again.
Yeah, no, this is great. I was blown away by your show at Soho House.
Yes.
And like, I mean, one, you're just so charismatic, and the fact that you came up to everyone and greeted everyone. I know it was a smaller venue. You probably can't do that everywhere, but that really meant a lot to me.
Thank you. I'm glad it left you with a good impression.
Oh yeah, and then just you're so like magnetic to watch. That was the other cool thing. It's like I couldn't help but smile, even though some of these songs are a little bit sadder.
Yeah.
And like you didn't play them perfectly at certain moments, but you didn't try to hide it. And I thought that was
for
brilliant.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was so much. I just had a smile the whole time. It was kind of a tough crowd because I noticed a lot of those people were just there to be at the club. They weren't necessarily come for you, but yet people were like drawn to it, and that's so cool.
I think it's definitely a cool thing to experience, like getting a tough crowd to respond is pretty interesting and fun to me. It's a good challenge.
Yeah. I love that. And then tell me about recording this EP.
So this was recorded predominantly through last year. Over the course of, I'd say, months, because at the time I was still figuring out how tour schedule is going to work, traveling. So a big portion of this song is written, across the world. So there's, I think, 2 or 3 tracks written in Australia.
Yeah.
Another 2 tracks in America with another 2 tracks in the UK, and then one of the tracks being in the US. So it's really just grabbing as much time as I can to just be somewhere with a guitar and just write my songs.
I mean, it sounds all very cohesive. I'm glad. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought otherwise. So I'm sure that's down to like the mixing and the mastering to kind of gel it all.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm pretty stern with what I want in my music. And I think I'm only getting more stern and more confident with my sound now, especially in these sessions and whatnot. Learning how to say no to certain things. And just really directing.
Oh gosh, that's so huge. That's huge.
I think that was a really, really big thing for me, because before I used to be pretty passive and just be like, all right, if that's what you think, sure, I'll trust you. I'll trust you on that one. But now I'm just like, can we just like try steer it this way?
Right.
Yeah. So
good for you, man.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm getting my voice out there. Yeah.
It took me too long to do that. So.
Well, here we are.
Yeah. Now, when you started, you did a lot of covers.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. Do you think like that taught you anything about songwriting, song structure?
I think so. I think when I reflect and look back on it, the songs that I covered were songs that I thought were interesting. Yeah. And I think I started to analyze more like what in that song did I find interesting, Yeah. So I think I just picked up on the sonics of how those lyrics and how those melodies sound with my voice, and was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. I might use that in my stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to me. I mean, one, you're so young, and you have all this talent, and that's awesome to see. But the fact that it was only a couple of years ago you started to write your own music. Yeah, that's just, and it's incredible stuff. They got stuck in my head like the night I saw you. I mean, like, it's so cool.
Thank you.
One thing I was curious about, like when you hear a song for the first time, not necessarily you, I mean, obviously not yours, but like, what do you gravitate to first?
Mainly just, I'd say melody and structure. Yeah, those are definitely the big ones with me. Like if it starts off, I'm just like, oh yeah, this melody rocks. Yeah. And I'm just like, but how do they resolve it? Like, where do they go to next? Right. Does it stay in this one area and kind of drift away, or does it like prick you, like get your attention? Yeah. So that's the types of things I look for when I listen to a song for the first time. But in saying that, even though I'm looking for those things, maybe the 4th or 5th listen, it gets me in a different way. Yeah. Where it's just like, oh, I'm so familiar with it. I don't care that it's like kind of like this continuous line. It works, Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have been very, very lyrically driven as well, where it's just like the melodies are very important to me. Of course. But with lyrics, I'm like, oh, but it has to make sense.
Right.
But in reality, it should make sense.
Right.
But for the most part, it's okay to be, blur the lines a little bit and have more fun than anything.
Yeah, make it interpretive or something.
Yeah, I think you're just playing around with that dynamic is important, yeah.
You kind of grew up influenced by your parents' music taste, and like you got me to listen to Bread again, and I was like...
Yes! Good! That's a good spot to be in. Hell yeah, we're listening to Bread again.
And I was like, because like for me growing up, Bread was just like the cheese of cheese. Like I would go thrifting to look for records and be like, Bread.
It's like, what is this, butter, bread and butter? Yeah.
This is like soft rock. Like, I don't need this.
Right? It catches you by surprise.
Yeah, but it's really well done.
It's very well done. Make It With You is probably a song that I consider to be one of the most perfect to ever be produced. I don't know if that's controversial at all, but it's my opinion. I think that song rocks. I think that song is great. I don't think I appreciated Bread fully until maybe like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was like, Dad, what's this song again? Who is this by? And he told me, and he was like, Bread. And I was like, Bread? Like, what is Bread? I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, they're called Bread. It's funny, right? I was like, yeah, it's funny.
It still is funny. It's
great. I want to know how... Actually, no, I think I did search up how they came up with their name.
Yeah.
They're arguing in the car, I believe. I could be wrong, but they're arguing in the car about what their name should be. And then a truck pulled up in front of them. And on the sign, it said, like, bread for blah, blah, blah price. And they're like, oh, yeah, bread. Yeah. Let's be bread. And then I think they stuck to it. I hope that's the real story. But if not, then it's all right.
Now, how did you come up with your name? Because I know it's your name, but then it's Grent.
Yeah.
It's pronounced, Grentperez.
Yeah.
All together. Like, is there an inside joke with that, or you just wanted to be different, or was there another Grentperez out there?
No, I don't even know if there's another Grentperez out there, especially as an artist. But Grentperez did start off as a joke. Okay. It wasn't even led by someone else. I was talking to a mutual friend that I wasn't even super close with. It's such a weird scenario to be in. Yeah. And then he had recently changed his name to something different. Yeah. And I was like, ha, that's funny. I wouldn't change my name to Grentperez because obviously my name is Grant. And then he was like, ha, that would be funny. So I was like, I'm going to do it. And I did it. I changed my name, and I didn't realize at the time on Instagram that there was a 30-day name change policy, where if you changed your name, you couldn't do it within another 30 days.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I was like, what did I do? I've trapped myself. So I was stuck there 30 days, and I was like, oh, man. But coming near to the end of the 30-day trial, I grew accustomed to the name, and I liked the way it looked. 3 E's, one word. Yeah. And in a way, it's universal, because if you say Grant, it's either Grant or Grant, Oh. You know what I mean? So if you're in Australia or from the UK, they'd call me Grant. In America, they'd say Grant. But Grant is is universal. And it kind of separates my personal life with my work life as well. So it's kind of cool.
I dig that. And
it's also a conversation starter. Yeah.
What about this?
Yeah, exactly. The music that I listened to growing up was really all I really listened to up until maybe the past 3 years.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like the past 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe 4 years is when I started diving into more things, and I started listening to albums as albums.
Oh, good.
Rather than just singles and whatnot.
Right.
The weird world that I'm in right now. I'm like really discovering things.
That's great, though. I mean, what have you discovered recently that you're blown away by, say?
When it comes to discovering new music, I always gravitate towards singles and whatnot.
Same.
I never get the chance to do the album until I like fully remember it again. I'm just like, oh yeah, let's listen what this whole discography is. Yeah. I recently re-listened to 2 albums. One of them was Tyron by Slow Tie. That album is great because it has a side A, side B with 2 different, very, very distinct sides. Yeah. And I think that really interests me because I was like, oh, he's really telling this story. One side is super, super harsh and the other side is very vulnerable. So I think that was really cool. The other album that I re-listened to again and was completely blown away by was Frank Ocean's Channel Orange. I listened to that and I was like, yep, I just accepted defeat. I was like, I'm never going to write a song like this. This is Frank Ocean's territory and I'll just be here. Yeah. Have you found there to be a correlation between the artwork and the music? Have you ever been...
Totally.
Yeah. Have you ever been fully... has there been an album work that's fully deceptive to the music. Like you think it's gonna sound this way, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah. I can't think of a great example off the top of my head at the moment. I'm looking at the wall of records. The audience can't see that. I mean, that Vanilla Ice is pretty deceptive.
Yeah, it would be.
That's the original. That's the original cover.
Yeah, I hope my album, my artwork matches the music. I think in a way it kind of does. With the toys and stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it really does go with the theme of it. Especially, the opening when we were younger, right? Like that especially, and that's a very sweet sentiment. Like I heard you talk about how that sort of came to be. And just that's because I'm going through that right now. I'm at a different phase than you, but it's like, whoa, okay.
I feel like it's just recurring. It's just like you go through this existential thought process, and then you live, and it's like, wait, I have to go back and go through this existential process again.
You got to process all that stuff.
Yeah. I guess there's through different age milestones, you kind of have to do it. So I'm going through it in my 20s. I guess I'll probably be back again when I'm like 35 or something, or 30. Yeah,
I'm doing it right now.
Nice.
And I love the fact that you have that amazing ability to see from someone else's perspective and like write from that perspective, but in a way that rings true. It's not like
it's not completely out of the water.
No, but it's so imaginative and just empathetic, right? To do that, I think that's such a gift. And the cover art, I mean, it's a sunny day, but yet there's some melancholy, or at least maybe, we don't know. There's some thought going on, and that's definitely the record, because there's like some happy beats and
definitely. I think what I really wanted out of the artwork is for it to be 4 or 5 p.m. and you're packing away the toys. Like either you're packing away the toys from other kids, or even you're packing away your childhood almost. And I guess being on a hilly background, it makes it more surreal than anything.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. I'm so proud of you. This is such an achievement. Like,
thank you. I drew that with my left hand, and I was like, wait, if there's gonna be a side part A and part B, then maybe we should have a section. So I crossed that out, and it made it symmetrical. I
love that you left that in there. And the coloring?
Yeah, the coloring is really good. I have Lanning to thank for that, creative director. I
see a Game Boy here. Are you a gamer at all?
Yeah, I definitely play a lot of games.
What are you playing now?
I'm on computer now.
Oh, PC then.
And like the new Switches, the Nintendo Switch. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're infectious. Those.
Do you have one of those?
I do.
You got OLED?
I do. I have the OLED. I'm waiting. I have to finish. I made a promise that I have to finish Zelda Breath of the Wild before I start the next one.
Okay. I just started it. I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
It was 2020 happened. No one was traveling. So like once things opened up, that was like the first time you kind of like left home.
Definitely the first time leaving home, especially to go overseas by myself.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I played my first shows. My first show was actually a festival called Groove in the Mood back at home. That was surreal. Like performing in front of people. It's actually really similar to performing online.
Like a live stream? Or okay.
Yeah, same banter type of thing, same humor. But
that makes a lot of sense now, because you're such a natural.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because like there is no difference between you sitting here and then you going up there. Like you definitely bring your essence with you, which is so cool.
Yeah, I definitely try to find my middle grounds with that stuff. Like I definitely don't want to be too much of a jester and just be like,
right.
I'm here for jokes. I definitely trust my performance, enough to say that it's a credible performance. Yeah. And you should spend your money on me. No,
So you didn't really have much of a formal training when it came to singing, or did you like sing in church? Or
No, I didn't have any training whatsoever.
That's crazy to me.
I mainly just grew up listening to like how my siblings sung and what I liked from them.
Oh, okay.
And then doing YouTube tutorials are actually great for learning techniques and certain. Yeah, like I didn't realize how much of a difference tongue position plays when singing.
Right.
So like you can be like down there, you could have it arched this way, blah 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 blah, and it just all helps with getting the air out.
Yeah.
So and right now I'm kind of just going through like a trial and error phase of my music, of my live performance, where I'm just like, how long can I keep doing this, or like what can I push and recover from, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and your mouth trumpet is better than my actual trumpet playing.
I guess it's cheating because I don't have to worry about but positions.
You made me think of that because the tongue position, like that is like you can not even like a bugle, right? Is a valveless trumpet more or less, right? And you make all the notes by the speed and the position, and you increase speed by pushing the tongue up, and so interesting.
It is, yeah. There's definitely a lot in the mouth. I've been watching a lot of like Indian music and whatnot. And their scale is nuts. Like all the microtonal things. Yeah. It's really interesting. And then really I guess, apart from fretless stuff and whatnot. Right. The vocal is just the easiest to get microtonal because, there's no limits there. It's insane how you can break up a tone into probably like 12 different notes if you are good enough at isolating those notes. Yeah. Some people, I do it naturally by singing off key sometimes. So it kind of works to my favor, Yeah. Yeah.
And then like, I was surprised. I heard another interview. You were saying like, I don't want to misquote you, but like you don't like some of the songs you don't like as much as others on this EP.
Yeah, there's definitely certain elements where it's just a bunch of reflection. It's like looking at if you were to do a painting. Right. You publish the painting, this is for the world to see, and you turn away, you come back after a few days, and you're like, I could have made that color a little bit more vibrant. Okay,
so it's not so much like the song itself, it's just the way it was recorded.
Yeah, there's definitely a few bits where I'm just like, maybe we could have added an extra harmony there, maybe the drums could have sounded different in the chorus. Maybe blah blah blah. Bunch of like maybes and ifs.
George Lucas in it there.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Now one thing I helped this band years ago produce a demo, and like I remember it was really interesting because I tried to push them to like create some things. I like to produce it a little bit more, and they didn't want to because they wanted the demo to sound like how they sound live. Did you ever like? Was there ever that thought in your head, or you just want these songs to sound like that, and if I can't do it live, that's fine?
I definitely always try to push for, a live element in the music, just purely live if it's possible. But sometimes given the scenario and the circumstance and who I'm working with, it's not really their forte.
That makes sense.
And sometimes we don't have access to like a live drummer. Right. Yeah, because I feel like the drums is always the hardest to record. But ideally, I would love to have a very, very majority live sounding song. Yeah. With this EP, it's a mix. Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot of MIDI drum in there.
I think it works though.
It does work. It does add like a quirk and a quality to it.
Yeah, it gives us like there's some style that it lends to it. It's like it feels deliberate. Yeah. Not that you were limited.
No, exactly that. Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. I listened back to it in its entirety yesterday, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. I was like, I gave myself a little 2 thumbs up.
Dude, like Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do their best effort and, it doesn't come out as well. I mean, I can speak from experience.
Okay, fair. Well, thank you. I'm glad you can say that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's you should feel very proud about it. I mean, I'm sure it's going to do great. All right, well, thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you once again. Thank you for coming to the showcase.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I want to thank everybody for watching. Yeah. I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side. All right.